So, what I have here is my second guitar. It's a Yamaha FG 110, 1973. My Aunt Fanny, who worked in the sweatshops down at the mills for less than $2 an hour her whole life, never more than a couple bucks an hour, bought this for me. It's probably like 200 bucks. And it came with a case. One of those chipboard cases. I love that case. The first guitar I showed you that I called Tiger, that real cheapo thing, I carried that around in a plastic garbage bag. And that was just really embarrassing. The other kids, of course, had better cases, and God, it was just torture to walk in with that, pull the guitar out of the garbage bag. Ugh, that killed. Anyway, this is my second guitar I used from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade when I took lessons from Stanley Whittick, local guitar teacher. He used the Mel Bay books, learned how to read notes and music. And I think I made it through 4 books. There were 6. I was a terrible student. 6th grade, 7th grade, just too many distractions. We had mini bikes. We played football after school, riding our bicycles, thinking we're Evel Knievel. You know, we had the whole gang, the whole neighborhood gang, kids riding mini bikes after school, raiding gardens, throwing tomatoes and eggs at things and each other and firecrackers. You know, we had the local kids, Doobie, Dubes, Bola, Frabata, Sparky, Spanky, next door, She Babes, Spider Gorman. You know, we just did what kids did back then. They were always outside looking for something to do. There was no video games, no inside, no computers and cell phones. Everything was outside. So I'd be out riding my mini bike, come home 10 minutes before my guitar lesson. My fingers will still vibrate, and I'm trying to learn how to play this stuff. I get to the guitar teacher. I play less than a minute. He looks at me. He says, "You're not practicing, are you?" And I just, what could I say? And I guess I didn't even say anything. He already knew. I was just not a good student. The thing was, I was learning how to play notes, which is great, learn how to read music, but I wasn't playing the songs that I wanted to play that I really liked. I remember at the time the Rolling Stones came out with Goat's Head Soup, and that song Angie was on the radio constantly. I loved that song. I wanted to play those songs, and I was doing Oh Susanna and Down by the Seaside or whatever, those those old standard songs, Americana type songs. Anyway, this is all original except my friend Kenny Hughes, who does a lot of guitar work. He's been doing it for years. Great luthier. Helped me out and put in this Tusk saddle, which, believe it or not, this thing, the whole guitar just sounded so much better because of the old one was just a cheap plastic. This Tusk transfers the sound to the soundboard. And that was fun to do. He showed me a lot of tricks and how to do things. Thanks, Kenny. So yeah, no name for this guitar. It sat in the attic for 20 years. I never took the tension off the strings. The guitar is flawless. The neck is perfect. The string action is amazing. No buzz, nothing. And it just sat in the attic for years and years and years. It gets really cold in the winter and hot as heck in the summer. Perfect condition still. All laminate. Some would call it plywood, but I'm telling you, it's pretty much nothing moved on it over like 20-30 years in the attic. So it's got a little scratch sanding here where crazy kids, you know, got a hold of a bottle of Jack Daniels. We're 18, and we ended up carving our names into the guitar, which I don't know where our minds were. There's still one there. I don't know if you can see it. It's got some carving. I think it's the date. Me and my buddy, oldie Lester. Rest in peace, buddy. Anyway, it's in good shape though, and I love the way it aged. The color of the top, just the natural aging is amazing. This is guitar number 2. No name. Number 1 I called Tiger because it had the tiger stripe kind of design on it. But this is the Yamaha, made in Japan. Just a really well-made guitar for like $200 that my Aunt Fanny bought working in the sweatshops. She later bought me another guitar. I was a big Neil Young fan, and I loved his electric music. Electric guitar was a black Les Paul, and one of the kids in the neighborhood said, "Oh yeah, Neil Young's black Les Paul, that's a Les Paul custom." That's all I needed to hear. I wanted the black Les Paul like Neil Young, so went down to the local Rhode Island music store in Providence, Rhode Island, North Providence, and bought a brand new Gibson Les Paul custom. $750. My aunt paid for it. The one who worked for less than $2 an hour her whole life. $750. And I ended up selling it years later because I really didn't know what I was doing, and I thought it was a guitar. Honest to God, how sad, huh? And I really regret. That's the big regret, selling that guitar. I wish I had that guitar still. Oh boy. I had a little problem with it. It was brand new, 1982. The nut, something was up with the nut, and this high E string was muting out. I brought it back down there, and the hippie guy that sold it to me, actually he was probably more into hair metal. His name was Roger. He called himself Uncle Raj or Dr. Raj. I'll operate on the guitar and fix it for you. I guess they made it a little better. They took a file and widened the space in the nut. But that was a beauty. I never should have sold it. My God. Aunt Fanny bought it for $750. It was a birthday present, you know. So this is number 2. I'm not going to go through all my guitars, just the first 2, number 1 and then number 2. And I told you about the first electric, which was the Gibson Les Paul Custom. Heavy, probably like 11 pounds. That was another thing. Sitting with that, it was just cumbersome. It was very uncomfortable to sit and practice. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even know how to play a scale in any like C. I couldn't even do a simple C scale. No one showed me. I didn't learn that for some reason in the guitar books.